It is a decent November morning here, so I guess I will get all wet this morning. That's what she said, yeah. I've got the pressure washer out, so I'm going to wash the lime spreader up, get it greased up and put away. I'll wash the grain drill here, grease it up and put it away. And not sure if I will get the combine out this morning and wash that. May not have time. I've got a meeting this evening that I've got to go to, but holy mackerel, you should have seen that buck that just ran in front of me. I was bringing this tractor up to pick up this lime spreader, and a buck ran from the field over there between the tractor and the lime spreader over into this field. I got some video of it on my phone. It's not that good, but it was a good sized buck and really in no hurry. And then once it got in this field, it stayed out here a couple of minutes just grazing and looking at me and observing the world. They are quite plentiful right now. Okay, let me put my slickers on and get this done. For those of you thinking this is all roses and butterflies, this job is far from that. Because it was just a little bit wet when we were planting this week. We've got mud caked up all on these packer wheels. I've been down one side already and cleaned these off. Now I'm going to the other side to get all of this mud off of here. So it takes some time to do it, and you are going to get wet doing this job. It's not a pretty job because these wheels are going to get spinning and slinging water and mud everywhere. So yeah, it's not all unicorns and rainbows with this job. You know, you think it's a decent day for doing this job. Temperature's about 50 degrees. Yeah, it's better than doing it when it's 35 degrees, but even at 50 degrees, you still get pretty darn cold. That water gets on you with a little bit of breeze blowing, and I think I'm going to go in here to the shop and turn the heater on and warm up for a bit. I do have an obsession with organization, so I'm constantly looking at how I can be more productive and organized. So what I'm doing today is trying to get our portable welder mounted on the welding table. It was sitting in the floor here, and this is where it has been for the last 30 years probably, is just sitting on the floor, and it works. We have probably 20 feet of lead there to do what we want. But just trying to clean the place up a little bit. I'm going to put it on here. My original thought was I was just going to weld a plate right on here to come out 11 inches to hold it, 11 or 12 inches. but there is a foot on here on both sides that makes it just a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch too tall to fit from here down to here. So what I've had to do is kind of tilt the welder a bit, get the foot on the other side here so it sits down, then it will go up underneath of there. But then the problem was, how do I hold it from tilting forward? And I think I've got that figured out. You see this little handle here? I've drilled a hole in the welding table. I'm going to bolt this piece of metal up here, slide the welder over so that handle sits behind that metal, and then it's not going to flop over. I think that will do the job that I'm after. So let's see if it will. This is some redneck engineering right here, but it does what I want it to do. Gotten the welder up off of the floor. So what I will do now, this hose hanger that we're using for the welding cord, I'll drill another hole over here and hang that on here as well. So we will be completely portable. Although, as I'm looking at this, that may not work. I cannot go all the way through here. It's open on the top side, but of course this table is welded down on top. So to make this work right because of the width, I should put it over here, but it's easier to drill the hole here. But then this thing is going to be up against the wall, and that's not going to work. So I've got to figure out something else. I maybe just a simple piece of bar. Hold it, actually, I may have something here. Yeah. Something like this would actually work, I believe. Okay, let me turn the camera off and figure out some more redneck engineering here. Oh, wow. Look at this. This is some engineering here. I believe I will patent this and sell this idea to Storlock. They're the ones that made the welding table. What I ended up doing, I just got a self-tapping screw here and put that hose hanger there in the middle so I can keep the table up against the wall in storage position. Everything is good here. It's out of the way. And a simple self-tapping screw here was all I needed. And we've got our piece of metal there holding this in place. So it looks like all is good. So to make this truly portable now, to roll this table wherever we want it to weld inside the shop, not that we do that much of it around here, I believe I've got an extension cord up at the hardware store, up on the shelf, just for this. I will check that out. Otherwise, you're kind of limited to where the outlet is here, since this is a 220 plug. So yeah, I'll check that extension cord out. I know the owner up there, so if he's got one in stock, I believe I can get it at a pretty good price. All right, I'm quite pleased the way that turned out. So let me keep on organizing and cleaning up here. You know, most guys would kill for a selection of bolts that we have here. Mainly the top half of this bin is fine thread bolts that I've already got filled up in the drawer here with fine thread bolts. We cannot get any more in here. Well, this was 2 years ago. There may be a few, but this bin here, I believe this size of fine thread is filled up over here. Yeah, I mean, we can get a few more in there, but for the most part, we've got all we need. So I'm going through this now to determine what to do with it. I want to get rid of it, as I said in an earlier video, replace it with a cabinet. So I'm trying to do some sorting here. And here's the other thing. I think I've mentioned this before. My father loved going to auctions, and he got some great deals. And here we have more buckets of bolts. Now these are standard thread. For the most part, these buckets are sorted by size, diameter, not length. So this size, all different lengths in this bucket. A bucket here, hey, this is, I'm not sure, I think this came off of a job site he was on, erecting metal building. These are little different bolts here. All of these buckets have bolts in them. But again, so if we go to this size here in standard thread, we may be filled up here. Yeah, so we're filled up. So on top of owning a hardware store, I have a lifetime supply of bolts here. But this is the part I really want to get organized, are the screws and nails, and try to get a little bit of organization to this part of it. And then I'm sure there's going to be some stuff going to the scrapyard, because I'm not ready for an auction yet. And to sell this stuff on eBay and ship it out, oh my, wow. Okay, let me keep on sorting and singing to myself. Ah, yes. Let me show you some other things that my father purchased at an auction, and I'm not sure how many years ago. But so look at this chain. This is not a chain that I will use on anything. I have not seen a chain like that before, but there's a couple of rolls of that around here. Here's a whole bucket of chain here. Now this looks like it's just standard 50 chain, so I can probably use that. Look at this. Hose clamps. I have nothing this large that I will ever use these hose clamps on. Clips. I've put some clips over in my other drawer. Some of these. Now these look like they could be a stainless, but I'm not. There's got a. There's some rust on them, but that's a dust. Those may be stainless, but hose clamps. Some more bolts. It's a lot of money here, and he probably, bought a small lot, what is an auction term, for $5 or $10. That included a bunch of this stuff. And yes, you get 1 or 2 items out of it, you've got your money back. But what do I do with the rest of it? Now, look over here. Now, again, so here's 7/8 bolts. What's that, 8 or 10 inches long? I will probably use 1 or 2 of them. Over here, we've got 3/4 bolts. These are 7 or 8 inches long. More 3/4 bolts. So again, I'm sure he bought the whole lot of those bolts for $5 or $10. It's going to cost you a couple dollars per bolt. You use 2 or 3 of them, you've got your money back. But in the meantime, what do you do with them? You throw them in the drawer and leave them to your kids or your grandkids to deal with. What was in this drawer? Yes, here we go. Washers. I've got 3 generations supply of washers here, of all different sizes. Here's a specialty bolt of some type. I'll never use that. We'll use some washers. Here's a miscellaneous. Ooh, now see, these I can use. These are the speed sensors on the combine. And they look brand new. Now, 2 of them, I'll be darned. So yeah, that's a brand new one, never been used. Those I can use. I have purchased those in the past. So yeah, he probably saw that on a wagon at the auction and paid $5 for the bunch of them, and those sensors are probably $10 or $15 sensors, but there we go. I'm trying to figure out what to do with all this and get some organization here.